I'm Reese. I'm going to explain the process flow for the Deaerator to all the boilers. So Deaerator works by bringing the temperature of the water up to the saturation temperature to remove the oxygen and the dioxide and the carbon dioxide. So blanket and low pressure header steam comes in at the top of the Deaerator and then goes up through the tower. Treated water and condensate come in through the top of the tower and then trickle down through the steam and into the storage tank. The condensate line has got a pressure transmitter going into the solenoid valve. The treated water has a temperature transmitter going into the solenoid valve. You also have a chemical line going into the bottom of the storage tank for internal chemical treat if it's needed. Once the oxygen and carbon dioxide is removed from the water, it gets vented up through this automatic gas valve and a gate valve with a hole permanently drilled through it so it can continuously vent. There is a PSV on the storage tank that's set at 20 pounds, and there's also a vacuum brake on the storage tank. And then there's a water column coming off the steam and the water side. And there's a sight glass and two low water cutoffs, which are connected to a control panel and a temperature transmitter and a pressure transmitter, and those go to the DCS. There is also an anti-siphon overflow that drains into the condensate tank. The anti-siphon allows the DA to overflow into the condensate tank without draining the whole thing all at once. And then the deoxygenated and deaerated water comes out of the bottom of the DA into the boiler feed water pumps. There's a steam driven pump and two electric driven pumps. The electric feed water pump 2 has a level transmitter connected to this low water cutoff transmitter. And then they go from there to the recirculating line. And the recirculating line allows you to set the constant pressure of 150 pounds, 130 pounds before it goes to the boilers to overcome boiler pressure. And then off of this line, there's a sample cooler so you can test your water for oxygen and carbon dioxide content. And then it goes from there into the Cleaver Brooks first. There's a chemical shock pot beside the flow control valve so you can add instant chemicals to the boiler. There's a flow control valve that has a level transmitter going into it. And then the English boiler has a very similar setup with a chemical shock pot and a flow control valve with a level transmitter on it, but it also has a flow indicator going to the DCS. The Dupree has a chemical shock pot as well and a flow control valve connected to a level transmitter, and the Volcano only has a solenoid valve connected to a level transmitter and a chemical shock pot. There's also the blanket boiler, which is on its own separate line coming off before the feed water pumps because it's got its own pump, which is connected to a level transmitter that turns on both the pump and the solenoid valve simultaneously.